Hello students,
Today we will start with excretory products and their elimination. Part 1. Animals accumulate ammonia, urea and uric acid. These are the nitrogenous wastes. Carbon dioxide, water and ions like sodium potassium chloride, phosphate, sulfate, etc. either by metabolic activities or by other means like excess ingestion. Students, in animals, different types of waste products, and not only the waste products but also certain minerals, they get accumulated. They are accumulated by two processes, either by the metabolic activities, for example, burning of glucose leads to the production of carbon dioxide gas, or by excess ingestion. For example, if we are taking too much salt, then the sodium ion concentration will increase. So either by metabolic activities or due to excess ingestion, these materials gets accumulated inside the body. These substances have to be removed totally or partially. And students, these substances are required to be removed either totally or partially, depending upon the need. For example, these sodium potassium chloride, these ions are required to maintain the osmolarity of the blood. So to maintain the osmotic pressure inside the body, these ions can't be removed completely. So when their concentration increases beyond a threshold level, only then body excretes these ions, means they are removed partially when their concentration rises beyond a normal value. But if we are ingesting some drugs or alcohol, that would be required to be removed totally, because that is not required for the body. So that is removed totally. So these substances are required to be removed totally or partially. So in this chapter you will learn the mechanism of elimination of these substances. So students, in this chapter we will study the mechanism of elimination of these substances. Now first we will study about nitrogenous wastes. Ammonia, urea and uric acid are the major forms of nitrogenous wastes excreted by the animals. So there are three major forms of nitrogenous wastes. First is ammonia, second is urea and third is uric acid. Ammonia is the most toxic form and requires large amount of water for its elimination. Uric acid, being the least toxic, can be removed with a minimum loss of water. Students, out of these three, ammonia is the most toxic form and it requires a lot of water for its removal, whereas uric acid is least toxic and it requires minimum amount of water for its removal. Now we will study about ammonotelism. Ammonotelism is the process of excreting ammonia is ammonotelism. So students, I told you there are three nitrogenous wastes. First is we will study about the excretion of ammonia. The process of excreting ammonia is known as ammonotelism. And as the removal of ammonia requires a lot of water, so most of the aquatic animals, they excrete ammonia. So many bony fishes, aquatic amphibians and aquatic insects are ammonotelic in nature. Ammonia, as it is readily soluble, is generally excreted by diffusion across body surfaces or through gill surfaces, as in fish, as ammonium ions. So students, this ammonia is readily soluble in water. So it is excreted by the diffusion process. when the concentration of ammonia inside the body rises, then the concentration of ammonia in the surrounding fluid, then the ammonia diffuses out in the water, and this happens either through the body surface or through the gills in case of fishes. Kidneys do not play any significant role in its removal. Students, in rest two parts, the removal of urea and uric acid, kidneys will play an important part, but here in the removal of ammonia, kidneys do not play any significant role because this ammonia is removed by the process of diffusion. Now students, ureotelism. The second nitrogenous waste is urea, and the process of removal of urea from the body is known as ureotelism. Terrestrial adaptation necessitated the production of lesser toxic nitrogenous wastes like urea and uric acid for conservation of water. And students, as I told you, excretion of ammonia requires a lot of water. So as the aquatic animals developed terrestrial adaptation, when they started living on the land, they were required to preserve the water. To preserve the water, they started producing lesser toxic nitrogenous wastes like urea and uric acid. So ammonia was very much toxic, and lesser toxic are urea and uric acid, and they started forming these nitrogenous waste for the conservation of water. Mammals, many terrestrial amphibians and marine fishes mainly excrete urea and are called ureotelic animals. And students, mammals and many terrestrial amphibians and marine fishes, they excrete urea and are known as ureotelic animals. Ammonia produced by metabolism is converted into urea in the liver of these animals and released into the blood. And what happens with the ammonia produced in the body? That is first converted into the urea, and this is done by the liver of these animals. So liver converts ammonia to urea, and then this urea is released into the blood by the liver, and then this blood will reach to the excretory organs, and there urea will be filtered out of this blood. So the urea is then filtered and excreted out by the kidneys. So when the blood reaches the kidneys, the urea is filtered out and then excreted out. Some amount of urea may be retained in the kidney matrix of some of these animals to maintain a desired osmolarity. And students, the entire urea or the whole amount of urea is not removed. Some amount of urea is retained inside the kidney matrix, inside matrix for tissue. Inside the kidney tissue, some urea is retained, and that is retained to maintain the desired osmolarity of the blood. So ureotelism. Reptiles, birds, land snails and insects excrete nitrogenous waste as uric acid in the form of pellet or paste with a minimum loss of water and are called ureotelic animals. And students, the third nitrogenous waste is uric acid. Reptiles, birds, land snails and insects, they excrete uric acid, and they are known as ureotelic animals. And this uric acid is least toxic, and this require minimum loss of water. And this uric acid is excreted in the form of paste or pellets. Pellets are small chunks of matter. So this uric acid is removed in the form of pellet or paste. Now students, we will study about excretory structures inside the body. A survey of animal kingdom presents a variety of excretory structures. In most of the invertebrates, students, invertebrates, you know, which do not have the backbone, these structures are simple tubular forms, whereas vertebrates have complex tubular organs called kidneys. So in invertebrates, the excretory organs are simple tubules, whereas in vertebrates, these are complex tubular organs which are known as kidneys. Some of these structures are mentioned here. First, we will study about protonephridia. Protonephridia or flame cells, these are also known as flame cells. They are excretory structures in platyhelminths, rotifers, some annelids and cephalochordate amphioxus. So students, protonephridia, also known as flame cells, they are the excretory structures in platyhelminths, rotifers, some annelids and amphioxus cephalochordate. Protonephridia are primarily concerned with ionic and fluid volume regulation, that is osmoregulation. And these protonephridia are mainly concerned with osmoregulation. Osmoregulation means maintaining the ionic and fluid volume of the body. So maintaining the appropriate concentration of ions and fluid inside the body is known as osmoregulation. And protonephridia are mainly concerned with osmoregulation. So the removal of nitrogenous waste is not their function. So they are primarily concerned with osmoregulation. These protonephridia, they are closed on one side as well as they open on the outer surface of the body. So they are also known as blind tubules, because they are closed on one side in the form of flame cells. Only to the exterior of the body they open through the pores. This is basically the main difference in nephridia and protonephridia. Nephridia are open on both the ends. They open outside through the pores as well as they open inside into the body cavity. So they are opened on both the sides. This is the main difference between protonephridia and nephridia. Nephridia are the tubular excretory structures of earthworms and other annelids. So nephridia are the excretory structures of earthworms and other annelids. Nephridia help to remove nitrogenous waste and maintain a fluid and ionic balance. And these nephridia, they do both the function. They are mainly concerned with osmoregulation, fluid and ionic balance, as well as also remove the nitrogenous waste from the body. Here I have shown the picture of nephridia in earthworm. And third type of excretory structure is Malpighian tubules. Malpighian tubules are the excretory structures of most of the insects, including cockroaches. Most of the insects, including cockroaches, they have the Malpighian tubules. Malpighian tubules help in the removal of nitrogenous waste as well as osmoregulation. So they also serve both the functions, removal of nitrogenous waste as well as osmoregulation. Antennal glands or green, here I have shown the picture of Malpighian tubules. They are branched. They are branched tubules. And another excretory structure is antennal glands or green glands. They perform the excretory function in crustaceans like prawns. So in crustaceans, there are excretory organs which are known as green glands. Green glands because they are green in color near their bases. And they are also known as antennal glands because they are located near the base of the large antennae. So these are the antennal or green glands. They are mainly the excretory organs in crustaceans. Students, this was for today, and if you have any doubt you can mention in the comment section, and if you want notes you can download from the description box. Thank you.